What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was Chosen to Become a Dragon God by Kurama Part 8. Now, let's begin. How did you find me? There were a few instances where your concealment technique was not executed effectively. I eagerly anticipated sensing your energy once more and proceeded to your location as swiftly as possible. I was fortunate to encounter you before you attempted to conceal yourself once more. This is frustrating. Naruto let out a deep sigh. I may not have been thinking clearly due to Raven. That is acceptable, contingent upon the nature of the questions. I will provide a response. He stated. Various iterations of Wonder Woman exist, surpassing Naruto's recollection, yet he does recall that Diana has consistently demonstrated a greater understanding of others. However, she is also recognized as a formidable assassin and a conqueror. Fortunately, it appears that it is not that Diana. Following his agreement, Diana proposed that they dine at a newly opened restaurant to enjoy a more appealing atmosphere. Was she merely suggesting that to secure a date with him? No, that would not be the case. Diana does not embody that type of woman. They would soon arrive at a restaurant located at a considerable distance from the city's busiest areas. The theme predominantly utilized red and black colors, reflecting a Chinese aesthetic. Upon entering, Naruto was met with a myriad of aromas and spices that ignited his appetite. The establishment differed from typical restaurants, as patrons were assigned to private rooms rather than dining in a communal setting. A woman with braided jet black hair was positioned at a podium in front of the main entrance. Greetings and welcome to Red Heaven. May I inquire if you have a reservation? She inquired while directing her gaze towards Naruto. Excuse me. Diana advanced, stating, it should be listed under Diana Prince. I called recently. The woman appeared momentarily taken aback before directing her attention to the list on the podium. Certainly, here you are. You will be assigned to room 1A. This is our premier room. She displayed a subtle smile. The woman then signaled, and shortly thereafter, another woman approached. Hello, my name is Yui, and I will be your server today. I will guide you to your room. It appeared that nearly all the women present were strikingly beautiful, and notably, one individual with unusual golden hair exuded an air of nobility, or perhaps it was simply their demeanor that conveyed a sense of professionalism. However, Naruto was more curious about whether Diana had made reservations or if she was intended to accompany someone else. Nonetheless, it would be complimentary gourmet food, and he would simply navigate around Diana if the situation turned out to be a trap. Soon, they entered a beautifully appointed room, one that would likely intimidate most individuals from even stepping onto the carpet due to its apparent expense. The walls were adorned with captivating paintings that effectively brought the theme of an authentic Chinese restaurant to life. Yui promptly presented the menus as soon as they were seated, which occurred on a soft cushion on the floor. Numerous options are available for your selection. I will begin with the beverages to allow you ample time to make your selection. We kindly request that you provide us with your finest offerings. I am not concerned about the expense. Diana provided a response. As you desire. I will return shortly, Yui said, bowing slightly before exiting the room. A reservation. Did you have another candidate in consideration for this position? Naruto inquired with curiosity, appreciating the vibrant colors and distinctive aesthetic that notably enhanced his mood. I submitted it with the expectation that someone I know would accept, but unfortunately, I faced rejection once more, Diana stated as she removed her jacket, revealing her smooth shoulders and arms. Wonder Woman exemplified strength as a warrior, showcasing her well-defined muscles while maintaining her feminine allure. Naruto considers that he may have a preference for women with a bit of muscle, as it often suggests they are capable of handling more from him. Pamela was an exception, and he is uncertain about Raven. Suddenly, Naruto's phone began to ring, and he pulled it out to check that Harley was calling him. Hello. He responds to the phone call. When will you be returning? You have been absent for several hours. Harley spoke loudly into the phone. The phone was pressed to his ear, yet Diana could still hear, prompting a smile as she observed Naruto's eyes soften unexpectedly. I will return shortly. I assure you. However, Honeybun. Harley displayed a displeased expression after hearing Naruto's remarks. She attempted to maintain focus through training once more, yet the absence of his scent nearby led to more frequent mistakes than usual. In contrast to the others, her admiration for him was evident. Harley intended to venture out and locate him independently, but she was persuaded by verbal encouragement. "I love you," Naruto stated over the phone, prompting Harley to blush and fidget noticeably. She appreciated hearing those 3 words from him, as they carried genuine meaning rather than being uttered casually by others. He was completely sincere in his intentions. "Please ensure your absence is brief. Please return, if possible." Harley responded with a hint of timidity, her lips forming one of the most beautiful smiles imaginable. Shortly thereafter, Naruto concluded the phone call, leaving Harley to inform the others of his plans, which caused them some disappointment. Raven experienced a sense of guilt, understanding the underlying reason for his abrupt departure. The half-demon found herself unconsciously licking her lips as she recalled his flavor. It exceeded her expectations. "I will remain by Master's side at all times." Myra expressed her concerns. She attempted to accompany him as he departed, but he issued a firm directive for her not to follow, to which she acquiesced with reluctance. "I also desire to be by his side, however, consider it from this perspective. There may be occasions when we find ourselves apart from him. Regardless of our desires." Pamela promptly interjected before Harley had the opportunity to respond. "I care for him deeply, just like everyone else here, but I believe that constant proximity may not be beneficial. While I am aware that he would not object." Pamela displayed a smile. "I concur," Raven responded. "It is quite challenging for me. I genuinely feel as though I am struggling in his absence." Harley exhibited noticeable tremors, and rather than the exuberant and carefree persona of Harley Quinn, there emerged a delicate individual yearning for affection. "I desire to hear his voice and experience his touch with every breath I take. I feel. Would it be agreeable for the 4 of us to go out?" Pamela made a sudden suggestion. "Are you suggesting a girls' night out?" Harley recalled having a similar experience with the redhead previously. Pamela nodded. "Certainly, let us proceed to enjoy ourselves. It would be beneficial for everyone involved." If it were anyone else proposing this, they likely would not have been taken seriously, yet there was a compelling reason to at least entertain the idea. It is possible that this was related to Pamela being the first wife. Following Naruto's phone call, Diana inquired about the identity of the caller, but he responded only with a terse glare. "Understood, I will refrain from further inquiry." Diana raised her hands in a gesture of surrender, letting out a light chuckle. Nevertheless, internally, she was frowning as she hoped a particular individual would gaze at her with those gentle eyes before expressing those 3 words. It appears to be unfeasible. Engaging in romantic relationships within the team can pose significant risks, wouldn't you agree? Is that the reason he engages with pragmatic antagonists? She exhaled softly. After a brief interval, Yui reappeared with 2 glass bottles and 1 bottle cooled in a small bucket of ice. The woman handled everything with poise, seamlessly transitioning to her knees while maintaining her grip on the golden platter. "Could you please clarify what this is?" "Diana. It is one of our renowned Chinese spirits. I believe you will find this gentleman to be quite enjoyable." She responded while pouring the drinks. It exhibited a nearly transparent quality with a subtle orange hue, rendering it particularly appealing. After being poured, both individuals took a small sip, resulting in an overwhelming array of flavors. The flavor profile was characterized by a distinct smoothness with a hint of saltiness, complemented by a prolonged sweet aftertaste that provided a warming sensation in the throat. "It is satisfactory." Diana exhaled with a sense of fulfillment. "What is your perspective on Naruto?" "It is satisfactory. I do not typically consume alcoholic beverages, yet I appreciated the lasting aftertaste. Nonetheless, my primary focus lies in the culinary offerings. It is after lunchtime. It is my belief that we can proceed with the order now." "Indeed." The 2 placed their orders in a matter of minutes, after which Yui exited the room with utmost discretion. "What is your place of origin?" Diana inquired after taking another sip of her drink. "Indeed. Is that your initial approach?" Naruto displayed a subtle frown. "I am simply attempting to initiate a dialogue." Diana subtly shook her head while offering a fleeting smile. Naruto folded his arms and stated, "Do you believe that if you encourage me to share more, I will be more inclined to respond to your most significant inquiry?" "Maybe. Alternatively, I may simply desire to become better acquainted with you." Naruto expressed his frustration but chose to respond to Diana's inquiries, as he had several questions of his own to pose. I believe you have received sufficient information from Batman. You originate from a different realm. Are you from another planet, similar to Superman? I could elaborate, but I prefer not to discuss the specifics. He articulated. It seems you are not very welcoming, are you? Diana lifted an eyebrow. I have no reasons to be amicable. Upon completion, I may regard you with indifference. I would prefer to avoid becoming too involved with the Justice League if possible. Diana was not offended by this, however. She experienced a sense of disappointment that he did not respond significantly to her beauty, which was unusual, as even Bruce had been observed admiring her on several occasions. While you may not come across as particularly friendly, I sense that there is a good nature within you. I strive to adhere to the principles of not harming our adversaries. However, my upbringing in my homeland has instilled in me the understanding that occasionally difficult choices must be made for the greater good. While our protagonists may prefer to take guidance from either Batman or Superman, I hold both of them in high regard, but I believe there were aspects they could have approached differently. Similar to the manner in which you eliminated the Joker. He has received mercy on numerous occasions, yet he continues to evade capture, inflicting further harm and instilling fear in the citizens of Gotham. Diana proceeded. I am not responsible for the Joker's demise. Harley was responsible for all the tasks, and I hold no resentment towards her. Nonetheless, I acknowledge my involvement in the situation, but they warranted the consequences of their actions. I understand. Eventually, a silence enveloped the two, allowing Kurama the opportunity to speak. What are you up to? You really should take her down right there. Gods can be pretty untrustworthy. Once they see you're not useful anymore, they just toss you aside. They keep sending all these heroes to hunt us down and turn our bodies into trinkets. Kurama let out a mighty roar. You could say the same about dragons. Hey, you. Are you really blaming this on our own people? I've got to say, I get where your anger is coming from, maybe a little too much. Honestly, I feel a bit uneasy just being around her, but I've realized that not everything is just black and white. Not all gods are bad, and not all dragons are good. I'm not really sure what happened to you, but you get that much, right? Kurama stayed silent after that. So, you're a dragon, huh? Diana finally spoke up and asked a question. Wait, a dragon? Sure, a dragon. I don't think I ever saw them take human forms before, even though they were really good at magic. I've heard of someone who's really talented when it comes to magic. She might be someone you've heard of, or maybe not. She's been in a couple of shows over in Gotham City. Hey, Zatanna. Naruto mentioned that the magical hero was the first one to come to mind. Zatanna Zatara is a strong homo magi who sadly ends up losing both of her parents due to some unfortunate circumstances. But, when he thought about it, Naruto recalled a specific detail about Zatanna's mom. Isn't Turkey the place where the hidden city of Homo Magi is located? Isn't that where Sandra mentioned that Ras Al Ghul got the weapon? Could it be a coincidence? He was deep in thought, rubbing his chin. Oh, so you do know, Diana said, a hint of surprise in her voice. I get it, but what's with calling me a dragon? I might not have a ton of proof, but I'm pretty confident I'm right. So, what would you do with that info? Naruto let out a low growl, sending a hint of killing intent toward the demigod. Diana could sense that Naruto had gotten stronger since their last encounter, and she wasn't sure she could take him on alone this time. I'm not really planning on doing anything. Diana frowned and pulled back a little. Naruto shot her a glare, trying to figure out if she was being honest by peering into her eyes. Her beautiful blue eyes seemed to convey honesty, but Naruto couldn't shake the feeling that something was a bit off about them. Just moments later, he was moving faster than Diana could even blink, vanishing right before her eyes. Suddenly, she felt something pinning her down to the floor with unbelievable strength. What are you keeping from me? Diana was fully aware that giving the wrong answer could cost her life, yet she somehow managed to remain completely still. I'm not hiding anything. She answered in a calm manner. But Naruto still didn't buy what she was saying, which just made him angrier, and somehow it ignited something else inside him. Out of nowhere, he felt this urge to end her life. He wasn't really sure why, but his teeth began to throb, and a little voice in his head suggested that he could ease the discomfort by biting into her. Before he even realized it, his teeth were just inches from Diana's neck, poised to tear into her flesh. Please, don't do it. Hey, maybe think twice about going down that path. Naruto was jolted back to reality by an unfamiliar voice just as the door swung open, and in walked Yui, pushing a cart brimming with food. Even though the room is private, we ask customers to keep things a bit more casual since getting too close can lead to some messy situations that we'd have to clean up. Yui got back to me. Naruto quickly pulled back, stealing a glance at Diana's face, noticing a hint of red on her cheeks. Eventually, he releases Diana and goes back to his seat like nothing ever took place. Kurama, did you just hear someone talking a moment ago? I didn't hear anything. The dragon responded, still fuming from what Naruto had said earlier. So, who was that? The food was laid out on the table quickly yet elegantly, and Yui took a moment to explain each dish before she left, giving the two a final glance that made Diana blush once more. But as soon as she left, Diana went back to her usual self and began eating, almost like she was trying to push away the memory of what had just happened. The food spread out for them was a bit different from what Naruto was used to, but the vibrant colors and tempting smells made him eager to dig in anyway. He first picked up a bowl that seemed to have a soup with a nearly clear broth, filled with beef, noodles, and a sprinkle of scallions on top. For some reason, Naruto was super hungry, so he wasted no time diving into this dish. All the noodles, sliced beef with chili oil, and those delicious spring rolls disappeared into my stomach in no time. Everything was super tasty, but Naruto couldn't shake the feeling that he had been starving for ages. Oh, I had no idea you were so hungry. I totally get that. I sometimes eat a ton as well, and I ended up ordering enough for at least 4 people, but still. Diana couldn't believe how quickly the food vanished. After everything was cleared away, the two just sat quietly for a bit, sipping on their drinks. Naruto was still feeling a little hungry, but at least he had it under control enough to think straight. Still, his teeth were bothering him a bit, and just seeing Diana made him feel angry. Once he wrapped things up, he got up to head out since he had other important stuff to handle. He really wanted to stick around and ask Diana some questions, but for some reason, he thought it was better to head out. It had a roar that was so loud, it felt like it could shake the whole earth. It could tear up the ground with just one swipe of its claw. The people nearby endured pain as the world was engulfed in flames that blazed as fiercely as its fury towards those who had struck it. Diana said with a serious look on her face. What do you mean? Naruto was a bit puzzled. If it was a golden dragon, then, was she referring to Kurama? Or maybe. I had this vision, and it's what brought me here to talk to you. It's probably just some trash god trying to get rid of you. They're worried about what you might turn into. She's one of those Naruto fans. Kurama mentioned. The dragon poses a real danger to the world. You're a dragon, but you're so different from the one I saw in my vision. I wanted to check in and see if you know about a dragon like that. Then what if its anger makes sense? Naruto responded. Diana suddenly stood up. I'm talking about the whole earth. There's really no excuse that could ever make sense of its actions when it comes to involving billions of innocent lives. She made a face. I just don't get why I should care. A strange sound began to come from her pocket, and it turned out to be the communicator that the Justice League members use. Hey, where are you at? A voice I recognized asked. Hey, Bruce. Naruto recognized the voice right away. I'm curious why that's on your mind. Diana frowned, feeling really annoyed by Bruce's behavior and the way he kept brushing off her advances. But now she was also upset with Naruto for how he was handling the world's fate. So, are you seeing anyone? Bruce saw the background and thought about the restaurant Diana wanted him to check out, but he brushed it off, saying he was too busy. Diana quickly glanced away from the screen and shot a glare at Naruto. No. Bruce's detective skills really shone through because he usually had a knack for spotting when someone was lying just by their body language, and it was clear that Diana was not being truthful with him. But, why would she make that up? Please come back as soon as you can. Hey, there's something important we need to chat about. He responded just before hanging up the phone. He probably knows that you lied, you know. Batman is pretty great like that. Naruto was well aware of him. If Naruto had to pick his favorite superhero from the DC universe, he'd likely go with Batman, with Static Shock coming in as a close second. But being a goody hero is behind me now. I really can't go down that path, even if I wanted to at this point. That's not something you need to worry about. I really thought you would be reasonable, but it seems I was mistaken about that. Diana frowned as she tucked the communicator away. She wasn't convinced that the Golden Dragon was Naruto, but there was this feeling that he was definitely connected in some way. But if he's the Golden Dragon, there's no way I can take him on right now. I've made my decision. I'm heading back home. I really need to get stronger for what's coming my way. I really thought you were different. Diana took a moment, giving Naruto a long look before she grabbed her jacket. Feel free to go whenever you're ready. I'm all out of questions for you. I was just about to do that, but I've got some questions of my own. Check this out. Diana paused and turned around to find Naruto gripping a sword in his hand. The sword was really well crafted, and you could just tell it was made by someone who knew what they were doing. But as Diana looked at it, she felt a sense of danger, something she never imagined could come from an inanimate object. Hey, do you have any idea how these are made? Nah. And what's the reason I should? It's crafted from a dragon claw. Naruto frowned. The only way to do this is to pull it out while the dragon's still kicking. I've heard that the pain can be really intense, but what's even tougher is that the claws are pretty delicate once they come off the body. To achieve this level of hardness in the sword, they actually need several of them. It seems like a lot of the claw goes to waste, but I guess it's okay if it helps make this awesome weapon, right? Dragons are often seen as fierce and merciless. What if that one? Not everyone, this one, in particular, really loved humans. It cared for them so deeply that when poison spread through their lands, it chose to take it in, even though there was no promise it would survive. Fortunately, they made it through, but whenever they spotted something that could be a threat to people, it would take care of it, just to keep everyone safe. But, how did they make it up? Naruto suddenly lunged forward, gripping Diana's neck as his hand morphed into a claw. I ought to take you out right here for being connected to those who gave humans the means to hunt dragons. Right now, I can't shake this feeling, it's like something's pushing me to end you right here and now. Diana found it tough to move, but with Naruto's immense strength, she just couldn't manage it. Ugh. That's not really a question, is it? Oh, I'm on my way to that. Hey, do you have any idea what these symbols are all about? Naruto revealed the handle of the blade, and it had some unusual symbols carved into it. I feel like someone like you would totally get it. Diana's eyes widened as she observed the familiar language, Greek. From her gaze, Naruto understood that she was aware of their significance. That's all I need to know. Additionally, I would like to express that I prefer not to be approached any further. He stated, prior to relinquishing his grip on her. It is advisable to exercise caution regarding the trust you place in your visions. Naruto stated prior to exiting the room. You should have completed the task while the opportunity was available. She possesses the qualities of a demigod and has the capacity for further strength development. Capable of overcoming you if you are unprepared. Kurama communicated with Naruto as he navigated the rooftops of the city in search of the boy he had pledged to locate. Indeed, you are correct. I had the opportunity to proceed, but I felt a strong inclination to refrain. Consequently, I tend to prioritize that intuition. What prompted my desire to harm her? Is this a primal instinct associated with dragons towards deities? Naruto inquired of the dragon. The deities are responsible for the popularization of utilizing dragons to enhance their power. It is natural for individuals to respond to perceived threats with defensive actions. I cannot take the lives of individuals who have committed no offense. Diana has consistently contributed positively to this world. She even attempted to seek my assistance, fully aware of the potential risks to her life. I find it perplexing that you choose not to heed my advice. Indeed, I share that curiosity. After an extensive search, Naruto successfully located the boy using his heightened senses. However, he was not pleased with the boy's current location. Although he was unable to see him, he was aware that he was located somewhere underground adjacent to a well-known building in Washington, D.C. What is the rationale for a 4-year-old being at Cadmus? Is there a connection to the light? Upon arriving at the building, he chose to contact Pamela to inform her of the upcoming developments. Hello, Pamela responded, her voice accompanied by significant background noise that suggested she was in a lively environment, possibly a bar. "Are you not at the RV?" Naruto inquired. "No, my friends and I decided to go out for some enjoyment." "Is that unfavorable?" "No, certainly not. You are welcome to go out at your convenience." He smiled, as listening to Pamela speak elicited a positive response from him. The group of women was engaged in socializing and chose to pause at a bar for a few drinks before continuing their evening activities. Upon their arrival at the bar, it was evident that they commanded attention, captivating the gaze of everyone present with their striking beauty and an appealing charm that resonated with all. A number of courageous individuals attempted to engage with them, but they were all halted by the gatekeepers, Myra and Harley. Harley expressed his frustration verbally, while Myra directed a piercing glare at them. Encountering an intimidating stare from a woman nearly 7 feet tall can be quite unsettling. They gathered at the bar counter on their stools as Harley took the initiative to order for the group, given that neither Raven nor Myra consumed alcohol, and Pamela was preoccupied after receiving a call from her cherished Naruto. "I understand." Pamela's laughter resonated, drawing the attention of those nearby with its captivating and subtly alluring quality. "Were you inquiring about my well-being or?" "That is one aspect, but I encountered a particular issue as well," Naruto stated during the phone conversation. "Is there an issue?" Pamela abruptly rose from her stool. "What issue? Could you please indicate your current location?" "I am confident in my ability to manage this," he stated. "Naruto Uzumaki, please inform me of your current location," she insisted firmly, causing the other 3 girls to take notice. "Did Honeybun reach out to you?" Harley inquired upon hearing Pamela mention his name. "Master. It is I." Myra expressed her enthusiasm by jumping up and down, attracting considerable attention from onlookers who seemed to wish for a similar level of excitement directed towards them. They could merely envision. Raven let out a sigh and shook her head, though she genuinely wished to engage in conversation with Naruto as well. She was able to regain her composure following the earlier incident and expressed a desire to discuss several matters with him in private. "Am I now utilizing my complete name?" "You are not my mother." Naruto expressed his disdain with a scoff. "No, but I will ensure you are held accountable if I must track you down," Pamela stated, her expression shifting to one of seriousness, causing concern among those nearby. "I have deep affection for you. Please refrain from doing that." Pamela exhibited a slight blush accompanied by a pronounced frown. "Please refrain from making that statement at this time." "I am serious, Naruto." "Am serious as well. I hold deep affection for you," Naruto remarked with amusement. "However, if it will provide you with some reassurance, I am currently outside Cadmus. I could elaborate extensively on this matter, but it is important to recognize that Lex Luthor is significantly involved in this situation. The individual who is not fond of Superman. What brings you to this location?" "Harley is aware of the events that transpired during our date. In summary, I am going in with the intention of potentially saving a boy. A 4-year-old should not be present in such an environment unless it is designated as a bring your child to work day. Will it pose any risks?" "I should be fine, to be honest. I believe I could be considered among the top 10 strongest individuals on Earth. I will be coming and going from this location. Please enjoy yourselves." "Naruto. We are reaching out to you," Pamela communicated via telephone. I assured that it would not pose any issues. Naruto frowned as he ascended to the roof of the expansive research facility, which was financially backed by Lex Luthor, resulting in substantial funding for a variety of experiments intended for diverse applications. The primary objective of Cadmus was to develop strategies to overcome Superman, and it also served as the origin point for Superboy from Young Justice. I believe it is reasonable to conclude that I exist in a universe akin to that of Young Justice, where Clarion is characterized as a Lord of Chaos rather than a Witch Boy. While it is difficult to ascertain the outcome, I acknowledge that my previous actions have altered the course of events, leaving the future uncertain. Additionally, the atmosphere in this area is quite vibrant. Is this the location where Raven detected the source of energy? If that is the situation, what possibilities exist below? Naruto. Are you paying attention to what I am saying? Pamela expressed her frustration after being overlooked multiple times. I apologize, I was preoccupied with another matter. Naruto promptly offered his apologies. Please remain in your current location as we are on our way to you. Acceptable. He exhaled deeply. If that will contribute to your satisfaction. It will. I will conclude the call now. Pamela responded prior to concluding the call. Let's proceed. Didn't you indicate that you would wait? Kurama stated. I understand your concerns regarding the boy. I cannot remain idle and wait. Naruto responded as he transitioned from his casual attire to an all-black ensemble. It is likely that there will be numerous cameras present inside. I require a technology expert to assist me consistently. However, there is no benefit in stressing over it at this moment. Naruto reflected as he donned the mask that Sandra had worn during her attempt to capture him. He initially considered using it as a souvenir, but he will utilize it for the time being. The mask was constructed from metal, enveloping the entire face and featuring a slender red visor that conceals the color of the wearer's eyes. The design ensured a comfortable fit on the face while maintaining a secure hold with a robust strap. Tikal. Yes, how may I assist you? Tikal responded as he gradually materialized beside his foot. The cat consistently remained by his side, even accompanying him during meals with Diana. Return to the RV. I am confident that measures have already been implemented to ensure safety, but I would appreciate your presence as well. You are able to operate it should circumstances arise. I have the capability to transform into a humanoid form. Indeed, and in addition to other matters. Naruto knelt to provide Tikal with a gentle scratch behind the ears before presenting him with a bag of treats. I have some reservations about Bud and Lou being left alone. Their recent behavior has raised concerns. Please advise them to conduct themselves appropriately, or there may be consequences. Affirmative, Master. Tikal responded enthusiastically, seizing the bag of treats with its mouth before vanishing from Naruto's view. I believe I have waited sufficiently for them to acknowledge my location on the phone tracker. Now to locate my entry point. Naruto surveyed his surroundings until he identified a sufficiently large vent that would allow him to discreetly enter the building. The top floor was standard, featuring security personnel at the entrance and elevator, while employees engaged in routine computer tasks. Certainly, it was merely a facade designed to mislead individuals, while the true operations occur in the lower levels, which collectively comprise 52 floors. That is quite a figure. Naruto could certainly assert himself to locate the boy, but incapacitating every individual in this establishment would become tedious quite quickly. The week of training enhanced his physical abilities, and combined with his speed, he became quite the proficient sneaker. Provided he maintains his focus, he possesses the confidence to avoid detection by others. There are cameras in numerous locations. I require an additional vent to extend further downwards. Once the cost is clarified, I will proceed to use the elevator. I perceive that the boy is located at a considerable depth underground. It may be more advantageous to wait until one of your spouses has the ability to become invisible and pass through walls. He contemplated while navigating the ceiling, employing his claws and ice magic to maintain his position. At one point, he considered undertaking that task himself. However, Kurama advised him that he had succumbed to dark magic and that he should avoid any further complications with his mental state. I will need to engage in additional training later. I possess numerous ideas for magic. However, I find myself unable to implement them due to my limitations in control. We are currently investigating Talia's activities for this evening, Bruce stated while addressing the other heroes in the Hall of Justice meeting room. Could you please clarify the exact location? Hank inquired. A research facility known as Cadmus. A camera recorded the woman proceeding to that location, Cyborg responded. I have conducted some research, and it appears that the establishment is supported by notable figures. Lex Luthor. Bruce furrowed his brow while thoughtfully stroking his chin. The individual associated with Mr. Clean. Hank remarked, resting his feet on the table. Dawn exhaled softly and rubbed her forehead as she contemplated the circumstances of her partnership with this individual. I would prefer to be with that individual, Naruto, if I recall correctly. It may be considered inappropriate, but Batman does engage in relationships with villains, correct? Do you have any additional comments or insights to share? Bruce observed Diana, noting her apparent preoccupation with her thoughts. Diana immediately scowled, delivering a glare so intense that it even caused Batman to retreat slightly. No, I don't think so. It appears that you have everything well managed. Excuse me. She shouted this as she rushed out of the room. Hank shrugged his shoulders. Her hot date must have left. I don't blame him, he probably watched that one episode of Futurama. Death by SNU. Ha 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 ha. What was that? He inquired. Hank. Dawn smacked her forehead and grumbled, she has super hearing. Oh. Naruto had long made his way into the building's lowest levels, where he discovered another vent. On the second floor, he noticed a lab coat worker using an ID to activate the elevator. As soon as it opened, Naruto crept inside and hung to the ceiling again, leaving no one guessing. Huh, must have been the wind. The worker said as they operated the elevator to descend lower. Ah, my nights spent playing Sly Cooper were not wasted. Would a staff hook be too much? Yes, it would. Naruto sneaked out as soon as the elevator stopped, climbing back to the ceiling. He was now on floor 11, and everything looked very different from the first floor. The lights were dim, but Naruto's eyes were unaffected, as was the scientist's visage, which began to transform into that of a gray hideous alien with red eyes. Well, that's frightening, but I can sense that the youngster is around. I hope nothing awful happens to him for their sake. Perhaps I should simply burn this building anyhow. The floor he was on was much larger than the upper floors, and there were no cameras around, which was ideal for Naruto. However, he remained discreet since he didn't want to alarm everyone just yet. It appears like a storage area with a lot of huge boxes and containers about. X-ray vision would have been useful right now. Naruto proceeded to advance towards the boys' location while watching more of the floor, just as many of the same aliens emerged from another elevator and began to hoist the containers onto a rather big levitating trolley. As soon as it happened, he could hear faint screams coming from one of the crates. Well, stealth did not last long. I will finish this as soon as I can. Naruto quickly concentrated on his targets, around 20 alien life forms working together to load the levitating platform. Wait, they aren't aliens, aren't they? The creatures Cadmus created. Xenomorphs. He thought as he leaped down from the ceiling, smashing one in the lab coat with all of his weight and creating a tiny crater under him. Naruto then swiped the ID that was previously used to access the elevator. He had no need to keep them alive because they were just developed to be weapons for the light. They deserved no mercy. The Xenomorphs couldn't even talk before many of them were killed by a punch to the skull, which sent their bodies flying in all directions without their heads. One of the most horrible high-pitched sounds emanated from their lips as they all converged on the invader without fear of death, which was perfectly great with Naruto. They may have been speedier than the typical person, but Naruto considered them far too sluggish. Heads were destroyed, and torsos were torn apart like paper, splattering blood and gore everywhere. After witnessing the many killings, 2 of them attempted to flee to warn the others, but they did not go very far. Fire. Naruto's eyes sparkled with red light as a little golden ember emerged in both of his palms, eventually turning into a dazzling flame. He then hurled them like baseballs, knocking them off their feet. As soon as the flames made contact, it consumed their corpses like they were alive, reducing them to ashes. Now he paused as he noticed another one in the corner of his eye. It was smaller than the others, and it bent down, making itself appear more smaller and insignificant. The horns on top of its head began to blaze brilliant crimson. Naruto remembered that some people have the ability to converse. Shit. He cursed in his mind before launching a ball of fire at its head, incinerating it OB seconds. Still not good enough, he grumbled as he retrieved the container from where he heard the calls for aid and set it on the ground without breaking a sweat. The container was quite heavy, indicating that either the material utilized was hefty or there were a large number of individuals within. On the container, there was a peculiar lock on the front, but he didn't have time to figure it out, so he just burnt it off with his fire, giving it no chance. Following that, the container collapsed in 4 halves like dominoes, revealing a cage full of people beneath. 20 of them were crammed together, with only a small gap in between. The majority of them were little more than skin and bones, dressed in miserable rags. Help! Do not murder us! They all yelled for aid, but when they saw a human outside their cage, they began to focus their attention on him. Help! Please let us out! A guy yelled as he held the steel bars with all of the power he had left, which wasn't much after what he had been through. What they have all gone through. Calm down. I'm going to get you all out of here, but you'll have to keep as close to me as possible. We are in a perilous situation. If you do not follow my directions, I cannot guarantee your life. Is that clear? Naruto yelled. He was all too aware of how typical individuals behave when they are terrified, since they are prone to making disastrous blunders. Although he just came for Alex, he doesn't have the heart to forsake people completely. However, if they don't listen to him, they lose their chance of survival. The people eagerly responded to his demand, and he ripped apart the cage with physical power, startling everyone and boosting their trust in him. They soon stepped off the platform and crowded around Naruto, leaving only one boy in the cage. It was Alex. However, he didn't seem well because he was breathing heavily and had a red face. What's wrong with him? Naruto leaped inside the cage, tenderly lifting the kid into his arms. From up close, the youngster appeared to be terribly feeble, and Naruto panicked a bit inside. He looked like that when we arrived. He was wailing not long ago, but today he makes hardly no noise. One of the hostages spoke. Just leave him. Take us out of here. Another hostage asked something he quickly regretted. Quiet. I am not saving you because I want to. He yelled, seizing the men who dared to say such remarks and lifting him into the air. I came only for the boy. If Dad dies, I have no issue leaving you with these people. Naruto cried, drawing the hostages' attention to the body sprawled over the ground. The hostages began to scream in horror at the sight of the dead aliens. I said quiet. He yelled again as an unseen pressure lowered them to their knees. The detainees were terrified and couldn't even look him in the eyes. I am sorry. We will listen. We will listen. Naruto growled and threw the men in his clutches to the ground. Alex, you'll be okay. Be strong for me. Naruto said gently as he moved in closer to the boy's face to see what was wrong with him. He appears to have a fever, and a severe one at that. And they did nothing. He clenched his teeth and pulled a bottle of water from his inventory ring. Alex, drink this, you'll feel a bit better. Are you a superhero? Alex questioned, trailing off with a cough. There was no way Naruto could claim the title, and he still doesn't want it, except for the boy. Yeah, I am a superhero. They call me Batman. Why, you're not him, liar. Haha, I know. Naruto was unable to come up with a name because he had never considered it. So steal one. My true name is Nightwing. How about that? That's a cool name, right? He grins under his mask. I'm sorry, Dick. I'm taking your name at the time. Drink this water, okay? MNN. Alex nodded before Naruto began pouring water into his mouth. The youngster drank until he coughed again, prompting Naruto to stop. That's good enough. Naruto then set the water aside and took out a cloth to carefully clean his mouth. I am going to get you out of here, okay? So, remain strong for me. Will I return to Uncle, Mr. Nightwing? I don't wanna. Alexa shook his head softly. I want Mother and Daddy, but he told me I'd never see them again. Tears started to fall from his eyes. I hate him. I'll do something about it, don't worry, I'm a superhero. He said as he shuddered within. Do it for the kid. Ah, really? Alex paused to cough again but then smiled slightly. Let's go. We are going to the elevator. Naruto demanded as he went back to the elevator, keeping an eye on the child. They were hesitant to pursue him, but as he got further away, they finally gave up and after him. Naruto felt slightly terrible since he wanted to explore more of this location and perhaps destroy it because, while he is not a hero, he would not let anybody meddle with the world he lives in. However, that is how life works, you never know what will happen unless you can see into the future. It was an almost 5-minute dash to the elevator, which wasn't much time, but it was plenty for the purported backup to board the elevator that the Genomorphs had spilled out of earlier. Naruto could hear it turning on, indicating that someone was approaching or that they were moving to a new floor. They were not. Captives were compelled to cover their ears as they shouted in terror. They were still on edge from before. Don't look back, just get on the elevator, Naruto said in a loud voice, having swiped the ID to activate it earlier. The individuals promptly boarded the elevator in succession. However, they soon encountered an issue. Insufficient space was available for all of them. Please allow me to enter. Please clear the path. I was informed that some rats were attempting to escape, but I was unaware that there was a significant one present. A female voice articulated. Naruto glanced back to observe a notably tall Arabic woman dressed in a fitted leather suit that combined shades of black and green. She presented a remarkable appearance with her long brown hair and eyes that reflected a depth of experience rarely encountered by others. The woman bore 2 pistols on her curvy hips, with a sword secured to her back that, from this perspective, resembled the one Sandra possessed. Talia. Naruto would be untruthful if he claimed he did not find the dangerous assassin to be striking, yet this was certainly not the appropriate moment. Could you please share where you acquired that mask? She inquired while a contingent of xenomorphs and assassins positioned themselves behind her. eBay. Talia was at a loss for words, yet her expression quickly shifted to a frown as she unsheathed one of her pistols. Please take cover. Please take cover. Naruto issued his command mere seconds before Talia activated the trigger. The sound of a gun instilled fear in the general populace, leading to immediate screams and widespread panic. Nevertheless, thanks to Naruto's prompt direction, all of them appeared to be unharmed. However, Talia was certainly not going to cease after a single attempt. The assassin discharged 3 additional shots aimed at eliminating Naruto, as he was identified as the sole threat. She took the bold step to shoot amidst a crowd, as Cadmus' objectives did not require their survival, granting her the liberty to act according to her own judgment. Bullets remained slightly too rapid for Naruto's vision. However, he possessed sufficient strength to be impervious to them, a fact that Talia did not anticipate. He turned around to shield Alex in his arms from the incoming bullets. Naruto chose not to move the little boy excessively due to his condition, opting instead to absorb the impacts himself. Another set of clothing has been compromised. He paused briefly before handing Alex over to a woman who was in the elevator. Please carry him up. I will be available afterward. If I do not see him, then you are aware of the consequences. Naruto issued a warning with a low growl as the woman responded with a determined nod, fully aware that she had no grounds for disagreement. Soon after, he transferred Alex and activated the elevator, transporting the individuals to the top floor. However, this was not well received by the others who remained with him. What are you currently engaged in? We still need to proceed. A man attempted to prevent the elevator doors from closing using only his hands. Upon witnessing this, Naruto promptly pulled him away, allowing the doors to close, which resulted in a state of chaos among the 7 individuals left behind. Your actions could jeopardize everyone's safety. You are a monster. A woman raised her voice while directing her attention towards him. Unacceptable. I have a spouse and child awaiting my return. Are you truly going to abandon us in this situation? A different individual raised his voice. It seems they do not fully recognize your contributions, Talia remarked with a smirk. Serving as a hero often goes unrecognized. It brings to mind a rather imprudent bat. She displayed a frown, revealing a discernible expression of disdain on her striking features. Individuals familiar with DC were aware of whom she referred to, as she had encountered the caped hero when he rescued her from another assassin known as Dr. Dark. The two had met several times thereafter, providing ample opportunity for affection to develop. However, they were ultimately from 2 distinct worlds. She expressed her dissatisfaction regarding the situation. It is concerning that you sent them up without any form of protection. They will inevitably be apprehended once more, she stated, retrieving her additional pistol. I am indifferent to their opinions or outcomes. Naruto frowned. Talia's trained instincts alerted her to the man's potential threat, prompting her to maintain a vigilant watch over him. However, as soon as she blinked, his face was merely a few inches away from hers. The abrupt motion surprised even the composed Talia. She was unable to aim her pistols at him before they were swiftly taken from her grasp. I would advise you to focus on your own well-being, Naruto stated, effortlessly reducing the pistols to powder with the sheer strength of his hands. The assassin failed to perceive his movement. The sole indication of his presence was the cracked floor several feet distant from her position. You. Frustration expressed. Talia clenched her teeth as she reached for her sword, only to discover it was missing, taken without her awareness. What is this? Unfeasible. She was astonished by the unfolding events, as the sword was suddenly in the masked man's possession before vanishing from her sight. Please return that item. It was a present from my father. Talia was astonished that someone besides Batman could breach her defenses, but then she felt a surge of anger as her father presented her with the sword. The individual was a murderer and nearly devoid of compassion, yet he did have affection for his daughter, despite involving her in various of his devious schemes. Despite the circumstances, Talia ultimately prioritized her father over Bruce. I have received that information. I would like to schedule a brief discussion with him in the near future. Are you aware of his current location? He inquired in a menacing tone. Shortly after his remarks, the xenomorphs initiated their assault on him. Nonetheless, these experimental lifeforms exhibited greater speed and size compared to their predecessors. Each of them possessed claws capable of swiftly incapacitating anyone caught off guard. Please remain in your current location. If any of you make a move, I cannot assure your survival. And please keep in mind that I could care less. He charged forward, engaging the approaching horde of xenomorphs with both fists prepared for action. The 7 individuals were not entirely pleased with the manner in which their alleged savior was interacting with them. They found it challenging to envision this individual as a superhero. However, witnessing his fighting skills was undoubtedly an experience that could be described as excessive. The initial xenomorph to engage him was incapacitated by a single punch to its jaw, resulting in significant facial damage. Moments later, he seized one by the face and pulled it along the ground as if it were a cart, before hurling it into the assembly of xenomorphs. One of the reasons he allowed the elevator to depart with Alex was that he wished to shield the boy from witnessing him eliminate these experiments as if they were simply chickens prepared for slaughter. Nevertheless, these xenomorphs exhibited greater speed and strength, with some managing to tear through his clothing using their formidable claws. Instead of the anticipated sounds of tearing flesh, they were instead confronted with the sounds of metal clashing against stone. It was merely a dull scraping noise. Talia had anticipated an injury, but the outcome revealed only reddened flesh, indicating that their claws had not penetrated deeply enough to draw blood. Noticing this, the assassin began her withdrawal, but then she sensed a gaze directed at the back of her head. Should you decide to change your position, I am terminating you. Naruto proclaimed in a resolute tone as he engaged in combat with the xenomorphs that relentlessly assaulted him. Talia had no obligation to heed his words, yet for some inexplicable reason, her feet remained firmly planted, unwilling to advance any further. Even after that day, she found it hard to accept that she would engage in such actions, yet there she was, adhering to another man's directives. Indeed. Myself. Talia gritted her teeth as she observed the men in combat, finding the scene oddly reminiscent of someone she knew. Are you related to Lady Shiva? Could you please clarify why you are obstructing our progress? She raised her voice. Talia acknowledged his fighting style, noting that his strikes were more forceful than those of the League of Assassins' leading killer and martial artist. At times, he exhibited speed, while at other moments, he demonstrated a slower pace, allowing her ample opportunity to assess his movements. They were not without flaws, but when considering someone of his strength, it was of little consequence. It appears you are experiencing some unfortunate circumstances. I arrived for the child. Naruto responded as his right hand was enveloped in radiant golden flames. Talia was able to recognize his movements because he seized this opportunity to train. Although the circumstances were not ideal, he found himself instinctively transitioning through his forms as he noted the increased difficulty in eliminating these xenomorphs. A xenomorph ascended into the air, aiming to strike Naruto's head with its claws. The action did not escape Naruto's attention, as his eyes were already fixed on it. Step back, gaining control over my entire body. Step forward, initiating with my less dominant foot, and transfer that energy to my waist. And exit through the fist. Naruto successfully overpowered Diana while at the second stage, prompting him to reflect on the extent of his increased power since advancing to the third stage. The sound was exceptionally loud and impactful, resonating throughout nearly all of Cadmus. Was it an explosive device? Were they facing an assault from a group of terrorists? It was completed by an individual. A substantial opening, measuring at least 30 feet in diameter, appeared in the ceiling, enveloped in golden flames. While this spectacle might not seem remarkable at first glance, a closer inspection reveals that the same opening extends through the next 5 floors above, surpassing a height of 100 feet and beyond. The individual responsible for this was positioned within a crater created by his exertion of force on the ground. He was quite upset that he could act in such a manner, but he was more impressed by his ability to restrain himself. Dear valued colleague, that almost struck me. A voice emanated from above. He felt assured about sending those captives up alone, as his assistants had finally arrived. You nearly made contact with me. Harley called out from above. She had just completed incapacitating a guard when the floor was detonated mere inches from her position, resulting in some of her clothing being singed. Fortunately, she had developed some resistance to fire through her training with that element. Regrettably, she would not be able to develop resistance to other elements, as it appeared that her abilities were limited to fire alone. Nonetheless, she appeared indifferent. Esteemed mentor. Myra was the first to arrive at Naruto's floor, promptly leaping down through the opening without hesitation. She aimed to be by his side at the earliest opportunity. A shockwave emanated from her landing, displacing any nearby gene morph and enlarging the crater created by Naruto's attack. Please allow me to pass. Myra efficiently dealt with the remaining opponents, dispatching them with the same ease as Naruto. The appearance of another formidable opponent further diminished Talia's already slim chances of escape. In moments like these, she found herself wishing the intruder was Bruce. Despite her anger towards him, she still felt a sense of longing for his presence. I instructed you to remain in your current location. Naruto soon recognized a familiar voice within his mind, prompting a smile beneath his mask. It was imperative. He promptly responded mentally as Myra completed her task with the genomorphs. Kindly hold on until we have completed our tasks. I have a lot to discuss with you. Pamela responded, her tone reflecting annoyance and frustration. I appreciate your insights and enjoy our conversations. He responded once more before Myra hurried over to him and enveloped him in a bear hug that would likely have incapacitated an average individual. Pamela experienced a profound sense of warmth after receiving those words from her partner. He could have easily pursued her for mere physical gratification, and she likely would not have objected, but instead, he chose to make her feel valued and cherished. Your father is unwilling to heed Mama's advice. We will ensure he faces consequences in the future. She smiled gently as she placed a hand over her abdomen. Master, I have some reservations about the mask. It conceals your face. Myra frowned, appearing endearing despite her genuine concern regarding his choice to wear a mask. It is indeed remarkable. However, your clothing appears to be in a state of disrepair. Raven spoke with composure as she descended, holding the hands of Harley and Pamela. The half-demon appeared to be her usual self, yet her gaze was quickly attracted to his nether region, and for a brief moment, she experienced a sense of desire. Raven experienced a sudden flush of embarrassment as she became aware that her thoughts were drifting toward a topic she had intended to steer clear of. Cease your actions. This was a singular occurrence, for the time being, perhaps. Raven. Yes. The half-demon reacted with surprise, nearly jumping out of her skin upon hearing her name called by Naruto. I understand you have just arrived, but I require you to return and locate the individuals in the elevator heading upwards. A young individual named Alex requires medical assistance. Would you be able to escort him to the hospital and oversee his care for me? He inquired after extricating himself from Myra, to which she responded with a frown. Certainly, I am able to assist with that. She responded promptly before beginning to ascend off the ground. Before she could fully take off, Raven was seized by the hand. Pardon. Raven cast a puzzled glance at Naruto as she was drawn towards him immediately after he raised his mask. Before she was fully aware, his lips met hers in a passionate kiss, while a hand encircled her waist. The half-demon initially expressed surprise with a soft groan when she was unexpectedly kissed, but she swiftly reciprocated, her cheeks flushing a deep red. And not in front of such a large audience. She expressed her concerns to him mentally, yet her actions contradicted her verbal statements. This is not a superhero. The captives were astonished by the ability to act in such a manner under these circumstances. However, they remained silent as they had no means to overcome him, and the arrival of his allies did not improve their situation. Unexpectedly, Raven felt a sharp slap on her rear, causing her face to flush a deep crimson, and a groan escaped her lips. The sound was notably provocative, leading the captives to experience feelings of discomfort or mild intrigue. Eventually, Naruto releases her, leaving her momentarily speechless, her mouth agape, as a look of longing appears on her face. That was intended for this morning. He internally acknowledged as he adjusted his mask back into place. Raven's thoughts quickly returned to her actions taken while he was asleep, bringing her out of her reverie. She then adjusted her hood to obscure her face and declared, "Independent Illinois go," before she vanished from his view to fulfill the task assigned to her. Overcome by embarrassment, she struggled to think clearly and, rather than addressing the woman holding the boy, she promptly took him from her arms. The individuals in the elevator began to exhibit signs of distress, fully aware of the significance of the boy to the men who had rescued them. "We are in a challenging situation." In a synchronized manner, they ascended to the top floor and promptly dispersed through the exit, aiming to distance themselves from the location, with the hope that an individual like Naruto would not recall their appearances. "Dear honey," Harley exclaimed, embracing him as she leaned her body against his chest. The previous incident had singed her top, leaving her chest exposed for all to observe. She sought the same level of treatment that Raven had received. No. However, she was decisively denied. However, Naruto promptly places a new t-shirt over Harley's face for her to wear. He stores a significant amount of his women's clothing within his item ring to optimize space in the RV. Soon after, he extricated himself from Harley's hold and approached Talia, who remained stationary. "You have yet to make a move. Your compliance is quite unexpected." He displayed a subtle smirk. The assassin's face displayed a distinct flush, reflecting her disbelief at the events she had just observed. His face remained obscured by the woman in the violet cloak. The two engaged in a kiss that lasted nearly a full minute, and the sounds emitted by the woman indicated her enjoyment of the experience. However, upon hearing his comment, she ceased her contemplation and instead directed a scowl at the men while grinding her teeth. "Unpleasant individual." Talia spoke quietly to herself. Mira's expression shifted abruptly to one of coldness as she distinctly heard Talia's words. "Master, should I proceed with her elimination?" she inquired with authority as she approached the assassin. "No, will not permit anyone to show disrespect towards her master in her presence." Mira contemplated the most extreme methods to eliminate Talia as she grasped the collar of her shirt. "No." Naruto declined with a shake of his head. "I have further inquiries for her." Mira expressed her dissatisfaction with his response and directed a prolonged glare at Talia before compelling her to kneel in front of Naruto. Frustration expressed. "I will not provide you with anything." She raised her voice in a loud exclamation. "I cannot disclose the whereabouts of my father." Talia yearned to either escape or resist, yet she found herself entirely immobilized by a single hand. Suddenly, Pamela placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "You aren't planning to proceed with what I suspect, are you?" She spoke softly close to his ear. The redhead would support him unconditionally. However, she sincerely wished he would refrain from pursuing other women, as she believed it was becoming excessive. However, she sensed that this was unlikely to occur in the near future. Naruto observed Talia intently. Her beauty was striking, and any man would consider himself fortunate to be in her company. He would not be truthful if he claimed he hadn't considered it, yet for some reason, it simply did not appear suitable this time. "Please secure her and ensure her removal from this location. Mira, please accompany Pamela and ensure that these individuals are escorted out properly." He indicated towards the individuals behind them, who were now gathered closely in apprehension. However, after considering Naruto's remarks, they expressed a sense of relief. "Is there anything else you require?" Pamela inquired as she retrieved a seed from the small purse she carried and scattered it on the ground. She subsequently utilized her abilities to summon a humanoid plant familiar, which ensnared Talia with its tendril-like hands, enveloping her in a cocoon structure that it held aloft. Indeed, there is a source, and it originates from further within this establishment. This will not go unaddressed. I assure you that the moment you silence her, Pamela instructed with a decisive snap of her fingers, prompting the familiar to extend lengthy vines from its shoulders to cover Talia's mouth. "Does that imply I will accompany you?" Harley inquired after donning her new shirt. "Certainly, you are able to." "Absolutely." Harley raised her fist in a gesture of triumph. "No. I would like to accompany you. Master. I will demonstrate greater utility than her." Mira expressed her displeasure with a firm stomp of her feet, causing a slight tremor in the ground. "I will ensure to rectify the situation. I assure you." He stated that he handed the stolen ID to Pamela while working the elevator. "You will compensate us accordingly." Pamela promptly provided a correction. I will proceed with that. The Justice League was prepared to proceed into Cadmus. The operation was classified as stealth, necessitating the deployment of a small team to initiate entry from the rooftop. The team included Batman, Diana, and Dawn, as they were the only members capable of moving silently, in contrast to Hank or Cyborg. It appears that we have been preceded, Batman remarked upon noticing that one of the vents had been opened. However, that was not the only unusual aspect, as the environment was unsettlingly quiet. Upon entering, they observed that everyone present on the top floor was unconscious. Bruce assumed the worst, but all of them appeared to be breathing, which, unbeknownst to him, was due to one of Naruto's principles: no killing unless they threaten your life or make an attempt to kill you. While there may be exceptions, generally, they will adhere to that rule. While inspecting the floor, they detected a sound of movement, directing their attention towards the elevator. This is quite an unexpected development. A recognizable voice was heard as the elevator doors opened. Poison Ivy. Bruce narrowed his eyes, his mind racing as he attempted to discern Pamela's activities in Washington. She would not have departed Gotham, and who is accompanying her? Please hold on. Talia. He noticed one of Pamela's associates grasping the woman who had brought them to this location. He aimed to liberate her, but a single misstep could jeopardize her life and the lives of the hostages. Regrettably, an individual did not exercise the same level of caution as he did. Release the hostages immediately. Diana exclaimed as she hurried towards them, her fists poised for action. Diana, please refrain from that action. Dawn called out for her to cease, but it was already too late. The demigod remained frustrated from earlier, as thoughts of Naruto lingered in her mind, and now a villain stood before her, providing an opportunity to channel her anger. Typically, she would refrain from initiating an attack, and if she were to do so, she would employ her lasso to effectively subdue adversaries. However, on this occasion, she required an outlet for her frustration. However, events did not unfold as she had anticipated. She intended to confront Pamela, but unfortunately, her advance was halted by a woman who stood significantly taller than her. Please move aside, Myra said firmly, maintaining her grip on Diana's hand. The demigod was unable to respond before being propelled through the air with sufficient force to collide with the wall adjacent to the entrance. Wonder Woman. Bruce and Dawn exclaimed simultaneously. Diana demonstrated remarkable resilience, as the impact resulted in nothing more than a scratch. However, it did intensify her frustration, particularly due to her awareness of Naruto's energy in the vicinity. The sight of a leading hero being discarded with such disregard served as a significant revelation for those seeking refuge in the elevator. Diana was preparing to charge once more, but Dawn intervened. It is advisable to maintain composure. This approach is not effective for combat. This does not reflect your true self. Dawn exerted all her strength to restrain Diana's movements. Both individuals possessed super strength, yet it was clear who held the greater power. Additionally, there are individuals present in the vicinity. We cannot initiate a full-scale confrontation in this environment, as it may result in injuries to individuals. Bruce tightened his fist. We would be willing to release all the hostages, with the exception of this one, Pamela stated as she flicked Talia's forehead with her finger, eliciting a wince of pain from the assassin. I am quite taken aback by the manner in which I was treated. And positioned before him. Talia faced difficulty in her movements, as Pamela's familiar remained relentless, and the familiars she currently creates exhibit enhanced strength. Perhaps it would be best to release them all and return to Arkham Asylum, where you are meant to be. Bruce frowned. While it is appealing, my husband may not approve of that. And I trust you are aware, correct? Pamela gestured for the captives to proceed, a smile on her face. The initial point she raised was surprising, as it questioned who possessed the courage to marry one of Gotham's most perilous villains. Based on his understanding, Bruce believed that she held a strong disdain for men. However, he was taken aback when she announced that she was expecting. All individuals, with the exception of Myra, appeared to be taken aback by the unexpected news. Excuse me, did you mention that your name is Poison Ivy? A captive inquired with curiosity as his body began to tremble. Indeed, what is the significance? However, you are perceived as a villain. What is the reason for your assistance? The response from her instigated panic among the captives, as the individual referred to as Poison Ivy is notorious for her disdain towards humans and has previously taken the lives of several during one of her plots in Gotham City. I'm simply following instructions. Feel free to depart at your convenience. Pamela responded without offering a glance. They hoped that her statements were accurate, however, they found it difficult to trust her for clear reasons. Consequently, they remained where they were, hesitant to turn their backs on the woman. The ground began to shake as Pamela's green eyes emitted a radiant light. Suddenly, Dawn's danger sense activated as Pamela's hair began to rise on its own. Diana, however, was perceiving an entirely different sensation, prompting her to become immobilized. Initially, Diana believed she was losing her sanity as it vanished as swiftly as it had emerged, yet she could not be in error. Was that divine? I have evolved from my previous self. I have little regard for your existence, but if you are not gone by the time I reach 10, I will ensure that each of you faces a most excruciating fate. Please refrain from testing my limits. Her voice conveyed a strong sense of conviction, instilling belief in every word she spoke. The individuals behind her swiftly moved towards the exit without hesitation. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for watching this amazing video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel for more content. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.